Perfect. So today is called Expectations versus Agreements. So here is a quote by William Shakespeare, and I think he really hit the nail on the head with this one. And it does show a couple here, but I want you to know that all of these tips and techniques that we're going to be talking through are used for any type of relationship whatsoever. So keep that in mind as we go along. All right, so we're going to start off with some definitions. As you can see here, expectations. There's a strong belief that something will happen, even sometimes without communicating it. We just believe that it's going to happen. It's like an eager anticipation of a result. To where an agreement is usually, it's a co-authored arrangement, usually between two or more people, around a result that you want to produce. So all parties are accepting into this agreement. As you can tell here, expectations leave somebody feeling like they need to measure up to something. Expectations can be filled with assumption. They're, like I said before, mostly unspoken because they just believe it's going to happen. They can oftentimes create disappointment, judgment, resentment, misunderstandings, and all of those things are completely avoidable with an agreement. So it leaves people feeling restrictive, stressed out, even oppressive. They're usually fear-based. There's usually consequences to them if you don't live up to these expectations, and they can lead to fights and arguments. There's a little air of superiority with an expectation, and it can create defensiveness on the other person's part. Whereas an agreement, it really is in your best interest to create agreements because they help you to really get what you want. It takes the guesswork out of the results because you've arranged an agreement with somebody so you know what you're going to get in the end. It also includes the other person's perspectives. So it's really engaging. It creates a lot of great open communication, and it sets all the parties up involved for success. It's collaborative, energetic, creative, and innovative. And it keeps you in the present moment. So you're not guessing what's going to happen next because you already know. So I also really enjoyed this quote by Anthony Robbins. So when you're making an agreement, here's some things to take into consideration. When you're starting to talk to somebody about this agreement that you want to make, take ownership for your expectation. You can always say, hey, I realized that I was expecting this without you even realizing that, I have this expectation of you. Can I stop? Can we pause, back up, and can we create an agreement together? That's going to be really helpful because it's going to create buy-in. And you can do that in several ways. First of all, telling them why this is important to you is super helpful. They need to know the full picture here. And oftentimes when there's an expectation, you don't understand why the expectation is there. You also want to help them feel valued by asking their perspective on it. And you want to include their motivation. What are they going to get from this agreement? You're also wanting to gauge their willingness by asking a few key questions that we'll get to next. And you need to ask them, is there a way that I can support you? How can I help with this agreement? And is there anything that is needed for it? It's also really important to remember that it's okay if the agreement doesn't work the first time around to come back around and rework it until it does. Asking for input, remembering this is a we thing, and getting an agreement to create the agreement is really helpful as well. Also asking them if they have any hesitations. So here is a few things to ask yourself. What do you want and why do you want it? When do you want it? And what does that look like? Getting as detailed about it as you possibly can. So, like I mentioned a second ago, expectations, they're like a really me-centered demand of someone, where agreements are very we-centered and it's a request. So can you tell already how much more helpful that approach is going to be when you're needing something from someone? Also, it creating an agreement creates less resistance on their part to help you with this, and it creates less resentment on your part. So it's a win-win situation. People enjoy honoring their word. It means something to them. Even they say, you know, there is honor among thieves is a common phrase. But when you actually have an expectation of somebody, oops, bless you, it causes almost a sense of rebellion. It takes their free will away and their sense of free spirit. Also, expectations tend to be very disempowering, and agreements are very empowering. It shifts you away from being at the mercy of not knowing if this person's going to live up to your expectation or not, because you've created an arrangement, an agreement that it will happen. Agreements also create healthy curiosity about the other person involved. It shows value in the other person, taking into consideration how they feel. So it's also really important to think through what types of hesitations might be coming up for the other person. So here's some great questions to talk through any potential hesitations. So you're removing those obstacles ahead of time. So some of them could be, can we create an agreement around, and then fill in the blank, whatever it is that you want this agreement. Is there anything needed to make this agreement work? Do you anticipate any obstacles? Can we test this agreement out and see how it feels to both of us? And do you feel comfortable in committing to this? And is this something we can agree to? So again, you're really creating a sense of unity. So I'm really, really excited about next week's topic because it's going to really tie into this topic of expectations, because we're going to be talking about expectations of ourselves. So it's on personal integrity, and it's exchanging expectations of ourselves for agreements that align with our highest values and desires. The exciting thing, I have an idea for a really fun activity. So bring paper and pencil, and we're going to be really determining what your highest values are. So as we lead into coaching, this is an area where it'd be great to do a type of coaching where you're going to select an area of your life or even a relationship that you feel can improve, something that you have stress around, and then you're going to identify in your mind, do you have expectations of this other person, either spoken or unspoken? So what isn't working? And then through the coaching, we'll brainstorm ideas. So through the questioning, brainstorming ideas to create an agreement around it. And then I thought it'd be fun to do something a little bit different today and really role play with your coach. What would it look like proposing this agreement to the person that you need to make a shift with? So I want to thank you all very much for listening today. I hope that you found this helpful. I'm really excited to see how the coaching sessions go and what you all come up with. Reach out to me anytime. Here are ways that you can do that.